Lately, I have been seeing the debate seed oil versus animal fats and how seed oils are supposedly destroying health in the United States. That fascinates me because I grew up in Nepal and spent years in India where we cooked almost everything in mustard oil. And across Asia, it's common mustard oil, sesame oil, groundnut oil, even perilla oil in Korea, and taramiria oil in Pakistan and northern India. These have been parts of our diets for thousands of years. Why is gut disease so much common now? So why all of a sudden are seed oils the villain? Is it the oil themselves or something about the way they are made and used today? And more importantly, how do they actually affect gut lining? And what I found is fascinating. Modern seed oils are nothing like the ancient ones. It turns out not all seed oils are the same, and how they affect gut lining depends on much more than just the type of seed. The structure is different, the preparation is different, and the way they impact the gut is different. Understanding these nuances is important because this isn't a black and white story. It's gray, and the truth is more complex than the headlines. And by the end of this video, you will be able to answer for yourself. Are seed oils really destroying health, or there is more to the story? In the next 20 minutes, you will learn in plain English how your gut lining works and what makes it leak, and what people actually mean by seed oils, how modern factory-made oils differ from traditional cold-pressed ones in the US and around the world, what high heat and reheating do in real kitchens, what the best human and animal studies do and don't show, why gut issues are rising in the fast-changing parts of Asia despite long traditions with these oils, and how overall diet, stress, and sleep change the outcome. And then I will give you a simple barrier-first plan you can use tonight. Don't reuse oil. Match oil to cooking temperature. Add omega-3 foods, spices, fiber, and ferments. Cut hidden oils in packaged foods. Use quick label and dining swaps. Try a 7-day reset and took it for IBSD, IBSC, or IBD in remission. Here's a quick promise. Everything you will hear is evidence-based. This is educational, not medical care. Use it to understand your body and then take informed steps with your clinician. I am Bimal, founder of Gutsphere. I have lived with GI issues, constipation, hemorrhoids, fissures, and the confusion of not feeling heard. That's why we built Gutsphere with gastroenterologist, nutritionist, physiotherapist, and psychologist to turn scattered advice into daily tools that actually help. If that already makes you feel a bit more seen, subscribe so you don't miss the practical protocol I will build toward in the second half. So let's start with what gut lining is. Think of gut barrier as airport security for your body. First, there is a mucus shield, a slippery home for friendly microbes. They turn fiber into short-chain fatty acids, especially butyrate, which literally fuels and repairs the gut lining. Next is a one-cell wall of epithelial tiles, which smart gates call tight junctions. They open for nutrients and close for threats. Right beneath that sits your immune watchtower, your GALT, G-A-L-T, quietly neutralizing trouble before it turns into a whole body problem. When this barrier loosens, what people call leaky gut and clinicians call increased intestinal permeability, microscopic fragments like LPS slip through and your immune system sounds the alarm. That alarm is inflammation, and it doesn't stay local. You feel it as IBS with more sensitive nerves, irregular motility, and bloating after meals. In susceptible people, it can contribute to IBD flares. It can slow rhythm and worsen constipation. And it can show up as fatigue, brain fog, and skin flares because your gut talks to every system. Here's the key for the whole video. Permeability is dynamic. stress, poor sleep, frequent NSAIDs, alcohol binges, ultra processed foods, and today's topic: what oils you cook with and how hot you heat them can pry those gates open. The opposite also is true. Fiber, polyphenols, omega 3s, fermented food, and butyrate help those gates stay smart and tight. Hold that picture because it explains why the same seed can be harmless in one kitchen and irritating in another. When people in the US say seed oils, they usually mean soybean, corn, sunflower, safflower, and canola, the backbone oils in restaurants and packaged foods. They are popular because they are cheap, neutral tasting, and easy to scale. Most are made the RBD way, refined, bleached, and deodorized. Seeds are crushed, often with solvent extraction for yield, then refined to remove gums and free fatty acids, bleached with clays to strip pigments and impurities, and deodorized with high heat steam under vacuum to erase odors and flavors. You get a neutral oil with great shelf life, but that high heat and heavy processing change the oil's chemistry. Inside the bottle, these oils are high in polyunsaturated fats, especially omega-6 linoleic acid. High PUFA isn't automatically bad, it's simply more chemically reactive, which makes storage and heating matter more. What oil did you grow up with and how did your family use it? Stir fry, deep fry, or drizzle? Just noticing that context helps this make sense. And here is why critics worry. First, heating and oxidation. PUFAs break down faster under high or repeated heat, generating reactive byproducts like aldehydes. A quick saute is not the same as hours in a fryer or reused oil. Second, oxidized linoleic metabolites, oxalams, can interact with immune pathways. Lowering LA lowers these metabolites in older human trials, and we are seeing mapping what that means for gut symptoms especially. Third, in animals, very high LA diets, think high soybean oil diets, can loosen junctions and tilt the microbiome towards inflammatory profiles, increasing colitis susceptibility. That's a mechanism signal, not a human verdict, but it matters if your gut is already vulnerable. Fourth, Western diets skew high in omega-6 and low in omega-3, which can nudge human signaling and increase permeability, especially if fiber is low and ultra-processed foods are high. And there is pushback too. When researchers raise linoleic acid in human trials, the big systemic inflammation markers often don't increase. And replacing saturated fat with unsaturated fats generally improves cardiometabolic risk. So, seed oils equals inflammation as a universal law is too black and white. Then how do we hold both truths? Context, heating, reuse, total dose, and what else is on your plate. Fiber, polyphenols, omega-3s change the outcome. For your gut, it's not seed versus animal fat. It's how the oil is made, RBD or cold pressed. How hot you take it, quick saute or deep fried. How often it's reheated. How much is hiding in ultra processed foods. And whether your diet supplies the buffers that quench oxidation and feed your barrier. Industrial context can turn a neutral ingredient into a stressor, especially if your barrier is already fragile. Now, the contrast, you can feel it in your kitchen. Across Asia, traditional seed oils like mustard, sesame, groundnut, and perilla were historically cold-pressed locally, used fresh, and paired with spices like turmeric, fenugreek, and garlic. Meals were built around fiber, whole grains, pulses, vegetables, and fermented foods. Compare that with modern RBD oils in industrial fryers and baked into ultra-processed snacks, often reheated repeatedly on plates low in omega-3 and antioxidants. Same seed, different system. That one sentence explains the argument and a lot of symptoms better than any meme. So at this point, You know the gut barrier is real protagonist. You understand why processing, heat, reuse, and dose determine oil impact. And you see why older traditional patterns felt different from modern industrial exposure. Next, I'll solve the cross-cultural puzzle. Why gut disease rose recently even where seed oils have been used for centuries. And then I'll hand you a practical barrier-first kitchen playbook. I will also share the simple three-word rule that removes most daily oil stress without banning anything. Plus, condition-specific tuning for IBS-D, IBS-C, and IBD in remission. A 7-day reset you can start tonight and the easiest way to spot your own pattern. Take a breath. Think about the last oil you used. And then we will move on to the second half of our video. I'll put a clear plan in your hands. So let's pick up right where we left off. Think about the last oil you used. Was it fresh? Was it living a second life? And a quick recap, your gut lining is airport security. Processing, heat, reuse, dose, and what else is on the plate decide whether an oil glass through or pries the gates open. Same seed, different system. If seed oils alone were the villain, South and East Asia would have been drowning in gut disease for centuries. They weren't. The surge in recent tracks modern lifestyle shifts. Earlier patterns had quiet protections. Oils were minimally processed and used once. Cold pressed, fresh, stored in grass or metal, not recycled in deep fryers. Meals leaned on antioxidant-rich spices like turmeric with black pepper, fenugreek, garlic, ginger, cumin, and coriander. Polyphenols that buffer oxidation and support the microbiome. Fiber and ferments were a base layer. Legumes, whole grains, vegetables, curd or yogurt, kimchi, idli or dosa batters, tempeh, feeding butyrate, producing microbes that nourish your lining. Lifestyle health too. More walking, fewer sugary drinks, and earlier sleep meant less stacked stress on permeability. Modern life flipped that script. Hidden oils saturate ultra-processed foods. Restaurant fryers reuse heat. Omega-3 intake dropped. Sugar and refined carbs climbed. Stress rose and slipped. Stack those together and the same seed lands in a more inflammatory ecosystem. That's the paradox solved. Now let's turn clarity into control. Here's the three-word rule I teased. Never use oil. This single habit removes most of the daily oil stress for most people. At home, make it one and done. If the oil smokes, it's already too hot. And when you are dining out, if it came from a deep fryer, assume reuse and choose grilled, baked or steamed or something sauteed to order. Next, match the oil to the heat so the chemistry works for you. For no heat uses like drizzling or finishing, choose extra virgin olive oil or cold pressed mustard or sesame. Never heat flaxseed oil. For low to medium heat, extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, high oleic sunflower or safflower, and fresh groundnut work well. Mustard and sesame are fine at moderate heat. For high heat, which should be occasional, use ghee or high oleic oil and cook in small batches and discard the oil after use. Trust your kitchen cues. Avoid smoking oil. Keep cook time shorter. Use enough to coat, not drown, food and finish with lemon or vinegar to brighten flavor so you naturally use less. Balance omega-6 with omega-3 by adding, not just subtracting. Aim for 2 to 3 fish meals a week. Maybe add salmon, sardines, or mackerel. Or take the plant route with daily tablespoon or 2 of ground flax or chia or a small handful of walnuts. I lean towards the plant-based. If you are plant-based, consider algae-derived EPA and DHA with your clinician's guidance, especially if you are pregnant, nursing, or on blood thinners or managing IBD. Better balance turns down the immune alarm, so those tight junctions act like smart gates again. So layer in antioxidant backup and fiber as your built-in fire extinguisher. Cook with turmeric and black pepper, garlic, ginger, cumin, coriander, and fenugreek. Pack your pan with colorful vegetables and herbs for polyphenols. Add a fermented side a few times a week. Curd or yogurt, kimchi or little pickle or fermented batters to support the butyrate producers that feed your barrier. Cut the hidden dose first because that's where the biggest gains come with the least pain. The heaviest seed oil load usually hides in ultra-processed snacks, fries, and shelf-stable dressings. Swap chips for fruits or nuts with your own spice mix. Trade creamy bottle dressing for a 2-ingredient vinaigrette, olive oil and lemon. Choose baked or steamed instead of fries or roasted potatoes at a moderate temperature. Tune the plant to your gut. If you have IBS-D and looser stools, skip fried and greasy meals. Stick to low to medium heat. Consider a short-term low-FODMAP trial with a dietitian. And go easy on the MCT oil if it triggers urgency. If you have IBS-C and tend toward constipation, include a drizzle of olive oil or a cold-pressed oil with meals. Prioritize soluble fiber like psyllium, oats, or chia with good hydration. And take a gentle 10 to 15 minute walk after meals to nudge motility. If you are living with IBD in remission, avoid reused oils and heavy frying. Choose gentle cooking like stews, pressure-cooked legumes, and soft vegetables. And coordinate any oil or supplement changes with your GI team, please. It's the same barrier logic, different levers for different guts. If you want a simple way to try this, run a 7-day barrier fast reset. For the first 2 days, cook only at low to medium heat and add a tablespoon of ground flax daily. On the day 3, include seafood or algae-based omega-3 and add a fermented side at lunch. On day 4, make a spice-heavy curry with fresh oil once. On day 5, go zero fried foods. Pick grilled or steamed and keep sauces on the side. On day 6, batch cooked beans or lentils for fiber and keep oils to single heat uses. On 7, roast vegetables at a moderate temperature. Finish with olive oil and lemon and plan next week's omega-3s. Don't forget the silent multipliers that beat any single swap. Stress, sleep, and movement. 10 minutes of slow nasal breathing or a quiet walk after dinner lowers sympathetic drive and tightens the barrier. A consistent sleep window keeps the gates from drifting open. Light movement after meals reduces oxidative stress and helps motility. To see a pattern fast, try a tiny N-of-1 experiment for a week. After your main meal, jot 3 lines: what oil you used and how hot you cooked it, and whether it was fresh or reused. What else was on the plate? Vegetables, spices, ferments, omega-3s, and how you felt over the next 24 hours. Bloating, urgency, pain, stool form, energy. Most people spot a pattern by day 3 or 4, and it's their own, not the internet's. Let's close the loop. Keep airport security, your gut barrier, smart and tight. Remember, same seed, different system. It was never about 1 billion. It was about context. Let never reuse oil be your new default. Surround every cook with balance from omega-3s, color from polyphenols, and calm from better sleep, lower stress, and a little more movement. You don't need to fear every seed oil. Use fresh oil and match it to the job. Don't reuse it. Balance with omega-3s and stack your plate with fiber, color, and ferments. Protect a barrier and your gut will protect you. If this helped you see the debate clearly, subscribe so you don't miss the follow-ups on the microbiome and inflammation. Both tie directly to what you learned today. And if you like the structure, the Gutsphere journal or app makes tracking oils, meals, and symptoms simple. Take care of your gut and it will take care of you. See you in the next one.